It's time for Living with Victory, a program of hope and encouragement brought to you by Friends of Compassion and listeners like you. Now, here are your hosts, Tony and Laureen Giorgio, with today's message of perseverance.
Jesus is with me when the storm clouds gather, when the winds of this world are blowing strong.
Welcome to Living with Victory. Proving life isn't about waiting for the storms to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain, giving you peace, power, and joy through perseverance, and above all, faith in Jesus Christ. Hey, and the opinions expressed on this program are solely the opinions of the host and hostess. Quick reminder, you can email us your comments at livingwithvictory@gmail.com. Remember, livingwithvictory@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And before we waste any more time, I've got to introduce my wonderful co-host, Laureen, who's here with me every day. And Laureen has the word of the day and the topic for today. So Laureen, hi, dear. How are you?
Hi, hon. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for joining us. Today's topic is, how do our lives affect other people? It's a question that, if you start really thinking about it, kind of convicts us. I know it convicted me when I started to write these questions. But I'm going to read right now from Ephesians 4:1 and 2. I walk in love because God appeals to and begs me to lead a life worthy of the divine calling to which I have been called, with behavior that is a credit to the summons to God's service, living as becomes me, with complete lowliness of mind, humility, and meekness, unselfishness, gentleness, mildness, with patience, bearing with others, and making allowances because I love them. I just have a couple of questions as we go into our message today. I hope you could keep in mind as we're talking. Do we encourage people by our behavior to want to know about Christ? Are we lifting people up or discouraging them and bringing them down? As people watch us, how we react or respond to situations, it affects them in their lives. We aren't even aware of how it affects their lives because you don't know exactly what they're going through and what your situation is causing. With these questions, as Tony explains about a video that he got this week, keep these in mind.
I met a fellow, we've become friends, Brian Recton, who is the director of sales at Salem Communications in California. We met him in that Orlando symposium that we really didn't want to go to. Brian is one of those, his compassion, his warmth, his friendship, and his faith just struck me. It just impressed me on the type of person he was. And we stayed together pretty much through the whole symposium. I really enjoyed his company. And he sent a video about what your impact is actually on strangers, whether you're talking to them about Christ or not, the way you live. And this whole thing starts out with a young college student. Her name is Kim. She's a devout Christian from early on, went to college, and really stood out. And everybody who knew her knew that there was something a little different. She didn't profess to be better than anybody. She didn't really say too much. She was friendly. They knew there was something different. There was something about her. Her roommate, Lisa, really wanted to know what she was all about. And then Kim had the opportunity to say what she believed in and how it did impact her life and what she did. Lisa, now these are true stories here. Lisa just found something there that she was looking for and wanted it, started going to a church, had herself immersed in Christianity at the time, and became a follower of Christ. She became a Christian living every day. And later on in years, Lisa got a job and she worked her job. She wasn't out preaching. She wasn't out doing anything but living a Christ-like life. She came across this man, Thomas, who had been hit by a drunk driver, was in a wheelchair. He was so devastated by this and so down and depressed that everything in life was no good. Lisa tried to treat him with kindness, compassion, not pity, and they became friends. And he noticed, again, that Lisa didn't live like a lot of other people. And through that, he wanted to know what the differences were. Why was she so different? And she told him. Thomas really thought about it all and got convicted by what Lisa was saying. And there took on a whole new life. The man in a wheelchair, devastated, despondent, became a public speaker, and he encouraged others by what he had inside of him for years, the talent to tell people about himself and how he got turned around by Lisa. And this man did a lot, and he did videos on YouTube, and people listened to him and were convicted because of his testimony going around. After this, he actually had somebody else listening to the video that needed a lot of help and very passive as a father and really had a lot of family issues. Listening to Thomas, he actually got himself back in the game. And he became a better father, and he just got back together with the family and became a guy who worked with youth. After not being such a great father, he goes out there and he's working with the youth in the neighborhood. And here's a kid who is always in and out of trouble. He's got problems. He's in jail. He's getting arrested. And he meets up with him. James is now a community youth center leader, and he helps him along to get on his feet. Now understand what in the world is going on here. It's going from one to the other to the other. Now Nate didn't really know him well. This boy's name was Nate, and he didn't know him well, but Nate actually got convicted by what he was doing with this James, and he gave his heart to the Lord. And actually, James was the one who baptized him in a lake. And they became pretty good friends. Then Nate went on to do community service and help out other people. Understand what's going on here through somebody, Kim, who is just living her life the way a Christian should be living it. It attracted. Well, Nate, the young boy, later on in years, gets involved with a youth center as a volunteer. And as this video progresses, he's walking out the door, leaving for the day, and behind him is Kim, the girl who started the whole, and they do not know each other at all. She goes one way, he goes another way, never knowing that the seed was planted with Kim, and that because of Kim, he's where he is.
It is amazing when we can pass God's love and joy on to people. It's done one person at a time. One person at a time. And you may not know, and we all may not know how we affected people until we get to heaven and actually see and meet the people that are up there because of us. And what a joy and what a privilege that would be, that to know that we made a difference in somebody's life because we decided to show God's love and character at a time when we didn't feel like it, or because we showed a little kindness. Just being Christ-like, allowing people to get to know the God that we love.
There are other little short stories here. We had this foundation, as you know, Children's Foundation, and I was here, there, and everywhere, and I had a call one day from a woman who told me that I had inspired her in her loneliness to get up and start a foundation to help others who are lonely. She did this internationally because she saw what I did with nothing in my pocket but the faith and the perseverance to move forward and do something, and she wanted what we had, and she did it. And she said to me, "You have no idea how you impacted my life." I didn't know she was out there for years. We're talking years and years and years. I had no idea. And that's the other thing you gotta watch, because people are watching you, whether you profess or not to be who you are. People always watch what you're doing. Like in one of our previous shows, right? Slow to anger. Look out when that guy cuts you off. Don't try to react there.
The other question that you might want to reflect on, because I have been reflecting on this myself, do I exemplify Christ's character, or do I embarrass him as his ambassador and warrior? Because I have chosen not to act with love the way he has told me to love. Because in John 13:34, God has given me one new commandment, that I should love others just as he has loved me. When he gave this commandment, he knew that all of these people that Tony was talking about, they were going to affect each other. The chain hasn't stopped. It's going and going and going, and thank God it is.
God's word will never be returned void. It's out there. Somebody is being touched by it. And that's all we need. You know, the storms are going to pass. Don't wait until they pass. Just keep dancing in the rain. Persevere. Live your life like Christ wants you to live, like you say you're living. Be that example, because you're going to touch more people than if you got up there and preached every Sunday.
People believe by seeing how people live their lives. They want to know it's real. They don't want to be talked to because they're hurting. And they know they've made mistakes. And sometimes when you're talking to them, they feel like you're talking down to them and reminding them that they're failures. But if you could tell them that your life, why you live your life the way you live it, is because how Christ loves you, and that in turn you love them no matter what, and that you're willing to share what God has given you.
So don't forget that you are impacting other people's lives, good or bad. It doesn't matter, okay? So that's why we say keep dancing in the rain. And by the way, if you feel we are helping you in any way and would like to help this ministry to continue, because it's brought about by listeners like you and friends of compassion, you want to send something, you can. Listen to our announcer, Tim Hodges, at the end of the program. He will give you information on where to send donations and how to contact us. You can always email us at livingwithvictory@gmail.com and just comment on the show. That's perfectly all right. But if you listen in, he will give you the information to send it, okay? That's it, folks. Remember, keep dancing in the rain. And until next week, this is Tony
and Laureen
saying you keep dancing in that rain, because Jesus is your umbrella. See you soon.
You've been listening to Living with Victory with your host, motivational and inspirational speaker, Tony Giorgio. Support for Living with Victory comes from Friends of Compassion and listeners like you. Your tax-deductible donations can be sent to Compassion for Kids, P.O. Box 1982, Maggie Valley, North Carolina, 28751. Tony is also available to speak to your group or organization. You can call him at 828-926-4600. Join us again next week at this time for another uplifting story of dancing in the rain.
Jesus is with me when the storm clouds gather. He's standing by my side.